What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NFT MPD. Welcome to the Dojo. My name is Carmen. We have Ray, Sean, and once again, Captain Metaverse, Nothmar himself, just snapping away low mints like it's his job. So
has thousands of them probably now.
Thousands, dude. Like
thousands, millions.
Sometimes he posts those pictures of what he has. I'm like, God, what a wild flex! Like, it's so aggressive.
Yeah, I'm like, what a life you live.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump right into it, but I think it's gonna be a little more loose. Because Sean, before you hopped on, I said I feel like there isn't much to talk about, but we have a lot to say. Like it's not like a whole lot of action has been happening. But real quick, we'll just move through. I'll just briefly touch on a couple topics, and then you guys, whichever one you want to talk about most, you can feel the floor will be yours. So, as far as the drops that we experienced, we've got that that ASM annual. We've got the first Falcon appearance. We've got the DC cover girls from yesterday. The Pili Fantasy. And then we had the AMA. So, Sean, I'm going to throw it right to you. What of those things kind of happy with, disappointed with? Where's your head at?
I love I think that they're definitely going to be releasing Black Panther, Blade, and all that stuff this month. I think David Yu knew that this was going to be a rough period for the company leading up to MTL and crypto off-ramps and all that stuff. And I think he knew that he's a collector. He knows, different markets and that all collectors aren't the same collectors. I think he's more aware of that than anybody. And that if you want to get more collectors on here from different sectors, you got to hit the Asian markets, you got to hit the black markets, you got to hit every single market, you got to hit white people. They're all different markets. And I mean, a lot of us buy the same stuff, but like if you want to have growth, especially in a period like this where people are saying a lot of negative stuff constantly, dropping big guns like that are going to be huge. So like, I love it. I love that we're going to get, first appearance of Sam Wilson, first appearance of, Luke Cage, first appearance of Black Panther. Like, I'm almost positive we're going to get that stuff.
Hey, I'm just hoping for John Stewart in the Green Lantern.
That'd be even better. That'd be so awesome.
That'd be nice. Oh, but you guys saw there's a new drop coming, right? They just announced one.
Luke Cage.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. I mean, if they already hit, a couple of the B tier ones. So I mean, they're working their way up to A, and we got 3 weeks left of February, so we're not even halfway through February yet.
There he is.
Hey, Mike.
Yo,
what's up, nerds? What's going on?
What's up?
Oh man, we are in a different fucking world today, are we not?
We're gonna pass it on right to you, hopping in. So of the week, we got the drops, whether it's the ASM annual, the first appearance of Falcon, DC cover girls from today, Pili Fantasy, and the AMA. How are you feeling about each one of those, or just one? Is one taking up more real estate in your brain than?
Don't hold back, Mike. Don't hold back.
Let's start with the good stuff, right? Let's do an opposite of what Michael Raphael normally does when he comes on to the streaming world here. The good thing is that they're releasing things that I think they're starting to understand fans want. Like Sean was saying earlier, we're getting better quality comics. I think the drops we saw previously were kind of toss away shit as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. Getting some solid characters in there, be it that for whatever reason you're putting them out there. The importance of having real world collectible comics up in the forefront, being released now. Sam Wilson is going to be a cornerstone of the MCU. He's already a cornerstone in the comics. He's the head of 2 different teams, one of which I believe we're going to see in the MCU. I firmly believe the Mighty Avengers are coming, along with the Dark Avengers. When you really put things together and what we've seen being introduced, you're talking about having Sam Wilson. You're talking about having Monica Rambeau. Clearly, Wanda is there. Wanda's still here. We have White Vision running around. Those of you who read the comics saw Mighty Avengers, that's the core of the team. Now, the final piece that was missing, which was interesting and that Veve released, is, in fact, the coming drop, which is Hero for Hire #1. Kids, if you pay attention to Kevin Feige and you read into his thing, you would know that he's a very big fan of Michael Golden, who plays Luke Cage, and has been very interested in finding a way to bring him in. So while a lot of people have been specking on different things, I've been leaning very heavily towards Captain America and the Mighty Avengers and the Mighty Avengers team as a whole. And I think what I've noticed, at least in the last couple of drops in Veve, they're not doing things coincidentally anymore, right? And the same thing goes with the comics. I think for a good period of time now, what we're starting to see is that comics are really just a coming attractions for what's going to be happening in the other mediums. I don't think we get first appearances for no reason anymore. I don't think we get new versions of characters for no reason anymore. I think it's really just a test to see what's going to stick. And Veve is another platform for Disney, Marvel, DC, whomever, whatever, to just test the waters on a smaller population of serious collectors, but also keeping in mind that in the NFT world, we're spending good money on these things. When you really think about it, we joke around, and when we stack our NFT comics, we say, it's $15. Who gives a shit? It's $15. What comic comes out with a cover price of $15? Well,
and then you buy 100 of them, you know?
There you go. So I think what they're doing, in my personal opinion, what they're doing in the NFT market is they're seeing where are people who are willing to throw money away going to go? What are they going to react to? So, you know, we got a mix of the modern stuff. I think all of us here agree Strange Academy was probably the coolest modern that they've released so far. I mean, as far as what's hot in the real world and what is going to be hot in the digital world, who appeals to the young crowd and the speckers alike. And I think we're going to get more of that. And I'm looking forward to it. I fully believe we're going to get Luke Cage. We already know Daredevil is coming back into the MCU. I fully believe Luke Cage is coming in, not only because of Feige's, you know, appreciation of his work. I mean, you guys all saw Luke Cage, I'm assuming, right? There's no one here who didn't watch that entire thing. I mean, that was one of the best MCU shows, in my opinion. And maybe because I'm a New Yorker, maybe because, you know, it was like a throwback to my entire generation in childhood. It was just awesome, man. Everything from the sights to the music to the feel of it. It was gritty. It was dirty. It was everything a New Yorker could love. And it's going to translate well into where we're going, not only in the Marvel universe, but in the comic books as well. And it's following a pattern. You know, we got the Monica Rambeau. I mean, I personally would like to have been Photon, but I don't think she's going to be Captain Marvel in the Marvel universe. I think that title is going to be just left to Brie Larson for a while. You know, Kamala Khan's going to come in as Ms. Marvel. That whole Marvels movie is going to set all that up.
You just broke Sean's heart.
No, I
think she's still going to be a main character. I just don't think she's going to be called Captain Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. And which also makes me lean more towards Mighty Avengers. Guys, I'm telling you, look into Mighty Avengers, real world. If Veve puts out a Mighty Avengers comic, then we can look back at what I said today as gospel. Because I think that's where we're going. So on the comics front, I'm happier that they're taking a better direction. For the collectibles, I think this series 2 is probably the best looking set of collectibles that they've released as far as comic related things have gone. I love Soups. It's nice. It's nice. Todd is beautiful. It's, you know, it's a classic, but you could see love went into this last series, and I think it's going to do well. And one of the things I said when I first saw the pictures is that Wonder Woman statue looks like Wonder Woman. That Wonder Woman statue you could put next to your Todd, next to your Soups in your little display room, so you could show off to all your friends how much money you have, and you can have a nice set of the Trinity. Now, our little group, what do we say? BHD, right? Bragging, hopes, and dreams. It's kind of hard to say, yo, look at this sick freaking pick of the trilogy I got with Todd, Soups, and Wonder Woman, chibi Wonder Woman. No, it didn't fit the mold. And you're going to get a lot of people that are going to go after this statue. I mean, it's already overtaken the rare. Last I checked, it was close to 300 floor. Yeah. The rare Supergirl, which is my favorite. I love that thing, by the way. I love that statue. Is around 2 and change in the low 2s. And we've also noticed that there is a first appearance Wonder Woman decline. So last I looked, that one was down to 850. And we're talking about it was at 1.2 not 2 weeks ago. And I think it even hit 1.3 at one point. So I think we're also going to start seeing a shift of what Veve tells us is hot or what the tags mean versus what people actually like.
You know what's weird is we get to this place where I am always curious to see when the chips are down. I guess I'll use that figure of speech. What people sell first, right? So if you need gems, something's coming out, and you have that Veve FA Wonder Woman, and then you have this new Wonder Woman, and you need gems. Which one are you going to sell? And as much as I love the new Wonder Woman, and it absolutely looks better, I had this like hesitation where I think at the end of the day, I could see that this new Wonder Woman crashing under some pressure because it's just at the end of the day, it's not the first appearance. You know what I mean?
Well, I think on top of that though, it kind of like with Steamboat Mickey, right? New Mickey card comes out, Steamboat. I think the ultra rare is down to like 6.6 from like 10K right now. I'll be curious to see what happens if we get CoverGirl Season 3, another Wonder Woman, different pose, solid statue. Then what? Does that start to dilute kind of that Wonder Woman market, and what happens to the FA then?
I always think that as they release more statues of something, the first one, then it starts going up. Like, say you get to like 4, 5, 6 Wonder Womans, you know how there's like 20, 30 Batman? You start to see that the Risso and Todd start to climb because people start turning back to the originals.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But okay, so just to make sure we keep it moving, the AMA, were we satisfied? Did we get what we wanted? Did we not get what we wanted? How do we feel? Nathal, I'm gonna start with you because you look like you're ready.
You guys know that I've been on the hunt list for these botters, so I'm satisfied. I do wish we could have covered more of the MTL and the KYC, and also a little bit of more what's gonna come out with the showrooms, because those are the cool things that we wanted to see. But I mean, from a bot perspective, I'm happy they addressed it. I mean, I'm sure there's still going to be issues. There's still going to be bots. There's going to be people trying to get around it. But I'm pretty surprised that I felt like they were taking it seriously by covering it, right? I'm sure, we'll still see bots, but I have been noticing less of the usuals getting their drops, so I'm pretty happy. So I was happy that one of our guys like Sean got it. So that's what I'm saying. Like versus like the usuals who get every drop, and it's kind of frustrating. But I think they addressed, and I read their document on how they handled bots. I mean, for me, they probably could have detailed it a little bit more, but I'm sure they don't want to give away the secrets. Otherwise, bots will know how to get around it. I would have loved to see them say statistics like, hey, we got 50% was bots, 20% were emulators, 10% were auto clicks or something like that, so we know like which ones are getting targeted. But I think overall I felt good from that perspective.
Good. Ray, what about you?
So I'll take the MTL side. Coming from the legal background, my biggest concern was, hey, are they going to be able to overcome whatever regulatory schemes they need to in Australia to even get this mess started? And we found out through the AMA, through one small sentence, that someone on the beta test team, someone has been able to successfully withdraw money out of the app, right? Like that they confirmed it. So for me, that tells me they've legally got past the hurdles. Now they just need to finish the development side and expand, and that's where my my knowledge base is all out at that point. But from a legal standpoint, to have overcome the regulatory hurdles necessary to kind of do that, that makes me feel better. I'm still not putting too much money in right now, right? If any, because I think there's some other good investment options, but I'm not as afraid. And then I think, just to add on to the bot piece, I think combining what they said with what we saw in the Facebook groups where someone were trying to sell like 0.4, one gem for, 40 cents to the gem. I mean, that's crazy. So I think you're starting to see some of them feel some of the squeeze, seeing their accounts get banned. So good stuff.
Nice. Sean, what about you?
For me, I think that what I'm most excited about that I heard for like my personal collection is that he said that by quarter, I think they said end of Q2 or something like that, or maybe it was later than that. I might be getting confused, but they said that they do have those comic things in the works and that they're going to have, the comics in the showrooms this year. So like by the end of this year, I don't really care how long it takes as long as it happens this year. That's pretty awesome.
Nice. Mike, where you at?
I mean, I heard them talk, and honestly, I've heard them talk before. Everything sounds good. I understand things take time, right? I understand there are complex technical issues that I can't speak to. I know nothing about, but I am a business person. And from a business perspective, what I do learn is that it's always better to underpromise and overdeliver. And I think the repeated mistakes that these guys are making, and I'm sure it's being done with good intentions, is that they're trying to give too much information and they don't have enough substantial action behind it to even come close to their deadlines. When I was young, my mom used to tell me something: if you don't know what you're going to do, shut up and look smart. You know what I mean? I would rather you tell me, hey guys, this is fluid, it's complex. We really don't have a solid timeline for you, but we're working on it. And here's our white pages. Here are our updates that we're going to give you as the best we can, and just keep it honest. I think the tagline going around being, touted by the sycophants is, it's a collectibles app. It's not an investment platform. Well, you know what? That's great and all, but you're taking quite a bit of money from us and holding it and not allowing us to move it off for an NFT, which non-fungible, whatever the frig these things are. Nothmar, this is all your fault that I'm in this, by the way. And even at the most basic level of understanding of NFTs, and the way I had it explained to me and the way I explain it to people as well, is it's crypto wrapped up in a friendly, fun little package. Now, as such, I would expect that at some point I should be able to do something with this crypto, like get the money out if I want to. Now, for those of us, like many of us who want to hold and we don't really care, we want these things to all when Lambo, that's what I'm talking about. We want these things to appreciate. We want to make it worth our time. It's just, I get why other people are pissed off. You were better off just not saying anything than saying something that you couldn't live up to. It's not an empty promise to say we're working on it. It's not an empty promise to say soon, #soon. Everyone loves that shit. And by putting dates and timelines, you put yourself in a corner. But they didn't do it once. They didn't do it twice. They didn't do it 3 times. They continually do it. And I think that's where my frustration comes in. I would rather you just tell me, hey, mind your business, plebe. You don't understand what the hell we're doing. And believe me, it's not easy. I would be happier with the truth, with an honest answer. Same thing. Oh, hello, puppy. Same thing with the bot situation. Like Nothmar, I mean, him and I rail on people with bots and clickers and all that other stuff. But you know what? At some point, you realize they're not really going to do anything. I mean, let's be really honest. And the people that are creating these bots aren't dummies. All right, these aren't stupid people. I mean, these are guys who hack Nike, they hack Puma, Reebok, comic sites, everything. They're going to get Veve, okay? They're going to get Veve. Let's just be honest. Say it's part of the market. Say you're going to ban the accounts. Cool. I mean, how long does it take to set up a second Veve account? For the know your customer or KYC to you more tech savvy folks, people saying, oh, well, that's only used to cash out. Well, it's also used to identify that person is the sole holder of a single account. So once you have a KYC system set up, I can't open another Veve account without you knowing that I'm opening another Veve account. So I think what that would do, it would keep people to at least a minimal amount of phony, because how many fake IDs are you going to make to try to do this? How many times can you fake your license or your ID or whatever it is you have to use? And the thought process of, well, if we require that to join up, it's going to hurt our growth in user base. Listen, it's not going to hurt your user base when people realize how much money they're going to have to spend to get involved, and that you're doing something to protect that money. Mm-hmm. Like me as a consumer, if I'm say, hey, I'm going to throw a couple grand into this program, and you're doing nothing to make sure that couple of grand is safe, how comfortable do I feel? Yeah, versus having to show you my ID.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that this month. I mean, I know that typically the NFTs are trending the way crypto's trending and crypto's down, so NFTs are down or blah, blah, blah. But I also think that a lot of people are upset with how this is playing out, and I think it has a lot to do with the way that they're they're over promising and then they're falling short, and then everybody's looking around like, well, I just dumped $2,000 into this app. I thought X, Y, and Z was going to happen. I think hopefully moving forward, we get a little bit more. I want to say transparency, but I don't even know if that's the right.
It's hard. I mean, I work in IT, so we do this kind of communication depending on the product and the business. So we usually do have a roadmap. You have to kind of show at least some sort of roadmap so that people can see, hey, this is the order priority, and at least you're trending towards it, or you're gonna make it or not. But I think because they're still new, they're still fairly a startup. It's hard for them to commit to timelines because. I mean, them saying a lot of times they've been pulling people out of projects and making them go to production to fight bots. It sounds familiar on the stuff that I kind of do on my jobs, right? People get pulled in and then we miss our timelines. That's why it's better for us not to give an exact date, but give at least a quarter, maybe a quarter roadmap. Like what's coming out in Q1, Q2. Don't give an exact date, but at least, and if something misses, just say, priority move because KYC went up, higher priority, MTL went down, something like that, right? So, but I think they're still new. So until they get some sort of, professionals who are experienced in product road mapping and project management, maybe it might take them some time before they announce like more specific like details on when stuff is releasing.
Well, and we keep saying they're new, but realistically, I mean, they've been out for, I guess, a year and some change, and they're pulling in millions probably, right? So for like the average startup, now this isn't like a company IPOing or anything, but still, I mean, they're getting a significant amount of money. I would love to see, because they talked about hiring, I would like to see those numbers. I'd be very curious to see what the actual company looks like over the past like 4 to 5 months. It's just you've got all these other companies coming in now. Like Recur's coming in, they've got MTL figured out off the back. Now, obviously, they can just use Veve's mistakes, fix them, and then be like, "Oh, hey, look, we've got it all fixed now." But Veve's the clock is kind of ticking here for some of these to start working.
The measurables would be nice, even something along the lines of we have hired X number of new people. I would actually prefer that. Like, I would rather you just tell me how many more people you've hired to do a certain job than give me a date. Because at least when you're telling me that you're hiring new people, I can at least wrap my head around some growth. So I'm a little bit more.
I think in a previous MTA, they did mention that something like the number of developers went up to.
Okay.
They did mention that, I think. I forgot the exact number, but they did mention that they hired, the team was much bigger now.
Well, then that's good. All right, so I do want to move us on to the next thing. This is typically people who watch, they enjoy this. Money well spent. Because there's 5 of us, though, what we'll do is just best way to spend $1,000 from the jump, any way that you want. I know, especially because we just talked about people who are showing up with, $2,000 or $1,000 and they want to invest. How are we going to spend $1,000? Are we going to buy almost 10 copies of of Ultimate Fallout 4? Or are we going to buy a Wonder Woman? So, Sean, we're going to come to you first. How are you spending
$1,000? Honestly, I would probably forego any like personal collecting at this point, and I would probably just like look for something to stack, due to the market being at the point that it is right now. And I would probably go with, I don't know. What I'm stacking right now personally is I'm stacking Strange Academy #1s, Captain America 117s, and ASM Annual 16s. But I mean, I see those characters playing out in the movies and TV shows, and I see, the Young Avengers and Mighty Avengers and Champions. I see all that stuff wrote on the wall, so I see those as good investments, and I just stack up on those.
Nice. Ray, what about you?
I would, I'm also kind of like, if you want to forego the PC and just try and see if you can make some money in the next 6 months, I think Fantastic Four, we were just talking about, right? Fantastic Four 1 being at like 135, 140. And I mean, Still higher than we were before the last pump, but it seems like it's got a lot of movement left, and we've seen it move. And that's going to be when the comic collectors come. They're always going to be looking for the big three: ASM 1, FF 1, and Marvel Comics 1. And the fact that Fantastic Four 1 is retraced so much more than any of the other ones, I think that I would just take 1K, put it all in that, and then just let it sit until the next comic bump.
Nice. Yeah, that I would say there's a ton of upswing specifically with Fantastic Four 1. We know it went as high as I think like 270. So I think that's a pretty good, pretty solid call. Nothmar, what do you got?
I would still go with Spider-Man uncommon. He's dipped to 686. That's the first appearance collectible. I think that's primed to grow once the market picks up. And I would add Batgirl. She's dipped to 189. I think she was 350. She's like 189 now. I think there's a Batgirl movie coming soon, so there might be some potential for her to get back to at least like 300.
Nice. Mike, what do you got? What are you thinking?
Honestly, at this point, I'm not. If you're a newcomer with a G to spend, don't bother trying to stack things. Do not go for expensive items. With the way the drops are going, at this point, if you have $1,000 to spend, invest in your MCP. That is your best option. Right now, what I would tell you and what I've been doing is looking for the lowest priced rare collectibles and comics I can find, and to make sure I have one of each. Especially for the comics. I've been definitely zeroing in on rare comics. You got to remember the MCP daily recurring points for a common, regardless of your mint, is going to be 0.25. If it's a low 5%er, it's going to be 0.37. A rare comic of any mint is netting you 2 full MCP points recurring daily. So for me, because of what's gone on in the drops and because of me feeling like, you know what, I don't have a chance as a snowball in hell, I would take that money and invest in the future of what's to come in VV and load yourself up with the lowest priced rare comics and items that you can find and stack your MCP odds up.
Nice. Good call. Definitely a different strategy that we haven't heard the last couple of weeks here. We're in a weird place, and I think if you're brand new right now, you don't have this perspective. But if you were part of the group who joined 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago and spent $1,000, you've seen almost everything half, right? So I would look at maybe 3 weeks ago and look at what is halved, and then look at what you think is going to really make a move in the next 6 months. And I think that's, looking at movies, right? Paying attention to pop culture, paying attention to what's dropping in the future, and trying to really work that upswing on something that you think is gonna trend. The $1,000 price point though is kind of tough. I like Nothmar's uncommon Spider-Man. That uncommon Spider-Man collectible is almost at half at what I think it's at half, like 685, because I think it was as high as like 1300. And if you buy that at 675, now you got some extra change, and then maybe you can go after MCP, or maybe you can grab some of these comics, especially some of these newer ones that you think might double. I think Strange Academy 1, I think Captain America 117, both of those will probably both of those will probably double in the very near future. X-Men 129 is back to like $19, which is one of those other ones that might upswing pretty quickly. I've made a quick list just for me. I like Harley Quinn. I think she's like 750 right now, and I think she was as high as maybe 1300. Wonder Woman, I don't know anymore. She just might be $1,000 collectible for a while, and that's fine if you want to build your PC. But if you want to invest, I don't know if that's going to get you what you want. And then MC1, ASM1 has held its ground, surprisingly. It's like floating around 200. Sometimes it's low as 185. Sometimes it's high as like 205, 215. But I will say, Sean, that UF4 common is just bread and butter all day. Like if you want to buy something that probably won't go down, that UF4 common is pretty sweet.
Hey, I've been watching everything just like slide into the ditch, and then every time I'm sad, I just check Ultimate Fallout 4, and I'm like, my portfolio kicks ass.
Yeah, a nice quick come up if you want to spend a couple more bucks.
Yep.
Jim Lee Joker is like 1,100, 1,200. I have a couple of them now, so my situation is much different. But any Batman, anything, I think is a good investment for the PC. But
Yeah, I was gonna say the Batman croc, the bat croc.
Yeah, Backrock, under 1K.
It's under 1K, but I'm still feeling that it's still overvalued. But I think it can grow later. So I mean, I think it's a PC item. So I mean, I want one, but I don't want to spend like 900 or K, to get it. So that's the only thing.
I don't think you're getting it less than 9. I think it hits 9. Maybe if you're lucky during MTL first day of cash out, I think 800 would be rock bottom on that bad boy. But I think by end of year, it definitely goes up. First color Batman. It is a sweet looking statue. Yeah. I just couldn't justify going after $1,000 on it. But my buy threshold will be 900 and just under for that one. But I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't wait till mid-year to grab it. I would definitely get one sooner than later.
Oh, 500. Oh,
I mean, it could happen. You could find a unicorn too.
Well, And the other thing too, it's kind of hard to forget that this has already happened once, right? Like Kang, like this is the second pump and retrace that we've seen, right? Like prior to this, what is it? Kang hit 400, retraced back to like 80 or like 110. ASM1 hit, 160, came all the way back down to 70, and that was right before the golden moments, right? But like,
Ultimate Fallout 4 is back down to 35.
Exactly. So it's not unheard of. But I'm not too scared of the market. And the thing is, the gems are still there, right? Like it's not like the gems are leaving the platform because the money can't leave the platform yet. So the same amount of market cap is there. It's just, I think it's just waiting for some big movements to show that the market's ready to go back up. Then you're gonna see all the gems from the sideline pour back in. Then you're gonna miss the chance, right? But I'm not one for timing shit because I'm terrible at it. So
a nice move that just occurred to me is you could buy like 15 Storms because she's back down to $65 and she was as high as 140, and that's another one that might be a solid move too when we talk about this retrace. I mean, I remember buying ASM1 at 22 and then it going to 45. And then it falling back down to like 19 and thinking like, oh, I just made the biggest mistake ever, and now nothing is going to be the way it was before. And now here we are, it's 10x that, and it sort of is what it is.
Hey, I was spending 100 gems on low mint Ultimate Fallout 4s, like as low as I could find them. And then it crashed back down to 35 gems. And I was like, well, just messed up. Just messed up really bad. Don't want to tell anybody about this. And then, sure enough, it went all the way up to 175, and I was like, "Holy shit, I'm a genius!"
Right. Which I guess, thank you for posting that. I think at the end of the day, you can never go wrong. At least from what we've seen, from our experience since we've been on, just be a little bit more patient than you want to be. And I think we're all guilty of wanting to unload stuff to get something else. And sometimes that makes sense when. If everything is down, well, then it's 6 of one and a half dozen of the other. Because if everything has cut 50%, well, then you're still good. But we get to these moments where it's like everything is cut 50% except for the thing that you want. And you're like, and that's where you get into trouble chasing those sorts of things.
But I think you also have to take into account, like when everything is down 50%, that's a correction. Now, the question is, what's going to rebound back to the highs? I think we're seeing that clearly with the comics. Thanks to Sean's persistence on UF4s, I ended up getting a bunch of them as well. Thanks to Sean's persistence on
Sean.
I actually started going and getting in on those. And the UF4 was interesting because that was the first one where I saw the rare comic, and it was right before it took off. And it had been hovering around. I bought 2 of them during Disney Week. I think I spent $60 on each of them. Then I noticed they went up to like 100 and change. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll grab another one. Maybe I'll grab one more. And I remember that one day we were all in our little private chat, and me and Nathma were talking, and he's like, hey, that UF4 is like 180. And I was like, not that one. That one's mine. And then the next one was 190. And then after that, Sean, what did it do? 400 within 24 hours of that conversation? Literally, It doubled, went up to 400, and it's still 375, 385 for that rare, man. And then from there, I realized, you know what? Rares are the best value for MCP, and I'm going to die on that hill. 2 full points. The price difference between the rare and the ultra rare is such a better value and price point. And, you know, you're talking about getting 2 full points as opposed to 8 commons, 6 uncommons, etc. And you don't have to spend that much money. So if your goal is to boost up your MCP and really get your chances up there for the future success of VV, then I think rare comics are a great move. There's still a few that are under $50, but every time a new comic comes out now, I make sure I get at least 2 rares, because even with the diminishing returns, the second rare is still a full point. So 2 rares, you figure, equals 12 commons. So I'm really getting into more of the dollar cost average and the most value I can get out of my dollars, because they're getting the money anyway.
Yeah, it's a solid call.
Yeah,
rares are good grabs for stuff as long as you feel like they retain their value. And I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving on to our next piece. So there are a couple of pairings that I noticed this week that we could talk about, and I'll let you guys decide. And they're both similar genres. So C-3PO passed the Mickey hat, which is a pretty epic move for something like that, because it's just it's an uncommon, or I think C-3PO is common, because I think R2 is uncommon. So you've got this common collectible leapfrogging this rare collectible. So we can talk, and I'll let you guys decide. You can talk about this. What do you buy? Do you buy a C-3PO or do you buy a Mickey hat? Or the next one, Wonder Woman and Batman battle statue. They're roughly neck and neck now. Or UF4 versus Fantastic Four 5 versus Fantastic Four 1, because they've all sort of like flirted around those same price points. So which ones? So you can just pick a battle and tell me which one you are deciding on. Mike, I'm going to throw it right back at you.
I would say the C-3PO and hat, because there's 2 that I have, and I'm looking at them both. The hat is losing steam only because we've gotten 3 new Mickey drops, right? I think that card, it's cool. I think it's getting way more credit than it deserves for what it is. But I think the Mickey hat, when it comes down to it, I think people are fudding on it right now. I think people are pushing the value and the importance of it down. And they're the same people who are buying them, because when that thing was at 6.5, nearly 7, good luck getting one even at floor. So that's how I think of it. C-3PO, we all know Star Wars was going to be hot, right? C-3PO and R2 were probably the best 2 representations of the brands as far as golden moments when it was released, right? Because when Disney's first one was the Sorcerer's hat from Fantasia, that's cool. Elsa, a little later on, but it's not really an epic part of Disney, right? The Fantasia hat has significance, but if we would have got a Steamboat Willie and a Cinderella or a Dumbo or something like that, something we can, relate back to the original Disney, like what we got with the partner statue, it would have held a lot better. Same thing went for like the Simpsons. Homer and Bart was a great idea. The skateboard, it should have been the TV or the couch, if you ask me. But as far as those 2, I think C-3PO is definitely winning, because he is more of an epicenter of Star Wars and just iconic, and we'll keep going.
And that's a good point. I think sometimes when we look at what to buy, I think paying attention to the density and the value of that thing in the pop culture universe that you are buying is really something worth investigating in, that I think some people don't think about in some instances. All right, Sean, where are you at? You got the C-3PO Mickey hat, Wonder Woman battle statue, Wonder Woman versus the battle statue, or UF4 Fantastic Four 5 Fantastic Four 1.
I would go with the comics, and I would bet against my own stash, and I would go with Fantastic Four 1. I think the fact that Fantastic Four 5 like has passed it in price like twice, just on accident when I flipped into the app a couple times. I've seen it pass Fantastic Four 1, and it switched back pretty quickly usually. And then Ultimate Fallout 4. I mean, it's going to be it's the biggest modern book out there. I mean, there isn't a bigger modern book I can think of that I feel that I would invest in, a fortune into. But eventually, comic people are going to be on digital platforms. They're not going to just be on paper platforms. They're not going to just be waiting for their books in the mail or, sending stuff to CGC forever. Eventually, they're going to start slipping into the spaces that we're in. And like you said, Carmen, they're gonna go for Fantastic Four 1. That's gonna be the first book. They're gonna be like, is Fantastic Four 1 released on this platform? The answer is yes. They're gonna go buy them.
Yeah, I think about how many people actually have that book, and if I have that, and I don't, but here's the thing: I have every book that I have a hard copy of now, and that I have graded. If it's on VV, I have a copy of it, right? Because you just want, as a collector, you just want that. And I just think it's so important. And immediately my brain goes to like, how many human beings actually have a Fantastic Four 1? Whatever that census is, those individuals are all going to want a copy of that book. 100%. So just the 1-for-1 math gives us this crazy value for this NFT eventually. It's just a matter of.
And I always go back to keep reminding people that you gotta remember too that they're just like, well, there's always going to be 60,000 perfect copies, and that's not true. They for sure are working on burning right now. There's going to be less than 60,000 copies of every single comic on the platform. Ain't a single one going to be above 60K eventually. Even the 70K comics going below 60K. Everything's going way, way down. And on top of that, comics are going into the vault soon. Pretty soon they're going to be indistinguishable from other NFTs. They're going to be 3-dimensional objects in the vault. And once you start being able to pose with Fantastic Four 1 pictures and ASM 1 pictures and MC 1 pictures, I mean, that's going to change the platform.
Do we know the cost of burning? I can't remember what the process is going to look like.
I'm not 100% sure on that. And I would want to, even if I knew for sure, I'd guess that they're going to change it before they release it.
Right. All right, Ray, what do you got?
God, I was thinking about which one to take. I was going to take the comic one, but I think Sean hit all the good points. I was going to take the other one, but Michael took that one too, hit all the good points. Nothmar, I have a feeling we might be against one another here. I'm going to go with the Backcroc Wonder Woman. And I'm going to take short-term Backcroc only because I have a feeling that people are, and reasonably so, will continue to push the newer Wonder Woman because it looks so much better than the original, right? And again, I think they probably stay pretty close, and then if it becomes diluted with, again, equally good-looking statues, I have a feeling that at some point the FA may start to outpace at that point just because of saturation with the really nice-looking ones. But the Backcroc is the first colored Batman. I think it looks great. I was able to scoop one at Mike's price point. If it drops to 500, I might actually put some more gems into the old stash and go again because that would be pretty awesome. But I like the Backcroc on that one.
All right, Nothmar, where are you on this?
I mean, I want to cover C3PO, but like I do want to cover the Wonder Woman too because Ray put a good argument there. I think no question in my mind, Wonder Woman is going to be top tier because it's a true first appearance, versus first color. There's an asterisk there, but short term, I think there will be. I think Ray is right. It will have short term pop. It could go up to 25K in a month or two, possibly. You never know, or by the summer. But then I wouldn't be surprised if Wonder Woman hit like Superman numbers. Maybe after another like edition 3 or 4 of Wonder Woman, when people realize finally, oh, there's like 5 Wonder Womans now. What is the true investment? And then they go back and see that, hey, Wonder Woman first appearance is this one, right? So they'll go back there, and it'll take them probably at least a few more editions before they get there. So I agree to Ray in the short term view there. I see 3PO. I think that's the one that I like. I mean, after seeing the last Mandalorian, come on, I was like, my heart was like racing. I was like, holy guacamole! All of these characters are showing up. There's got to be more appearances. There's got to be, I don't know, is the Bad Batch gonna show up now? Live, versus their cartoon characters? Because seeing, some of the people that showed up, I was like, dude, Star Wars is going to keep blowing up, and what's it now, 4 or 5K for C3PO? I mean, dude, I think that can hit like 10K easy, right? Potentially, I think in the short term. I think C3PO, Mickey's hat. I do want a Mickey's, any Mickey related NFT, but I feel like there's more Quan with C3PO. So I would go with C3PO.
Especially once they have like an Anakin NFT, like people are gonna start posing with C3PO and stuff,
Yeah, hells yeah. I mean, there's so many Star Wars guys that they can do NFTs. So if they have Ahsoka, forget it, dude. That's gonna go crazy.
Yeah, I think I want a Mickey's hat, but at the same time, if I had to pick between the two, and they're the same price point, I'm in a position where I have a C3PO, so it makes life easier because now I just have to focus on the Mickey's hat. But when I saw those numbers start to match each other, I'm like, man, if I didn't have either one, it just seems like the C3PO just wins all day long. And even the golden moments in general, I started going back and looking at the numbers, and like they've really dropped the ball on some of those rare statues in general, like the skateboard and the Avengers symbol. We're just kind of maybe short-sighted, I think, as far as what collectors would want long-term, and what you could sort of like, you can you can't really grow into some of those things.
I mean, it's hard to say sometimes because like every week we have new drops and they're all exciting. So we're like, I do notice a lot of people start saying, oh, what am I going to sell to get that new shiny drop for this week?
Man, I saw people selling MC1s, Fantastic Four ones, and ASM ones just to buy like random crap this week. That I was just like, I never ever would have imagined that 2 months ago.
Yeah, but that's why also there's a lot of non-comic book collectors also in the space, right? So they don't realize how hard it is to get an MC1 if you're gonna sell that for, I'm sorry to say, a Pili Fantasy, right? So you might be shooting yourself in the foot there. I don't think you'll be able to get MC1 again.
Yeah. Especially because, I mean, we've seen it. It can triple overnight, like literally triple overnight.
Yeah. And worst comes to worst, you just buy Mike a few drinks. You can get that sorcerer's hat for a deal, so.
Hey, I sold the uncommon MC1 last week for $725, and I was sweating. Nice. And I was able to buy one back this week for $380.
Nice.
Yep. So,
that's crazy.
I didn't think that was possible. When I was selling that thing, and I've been going back and forth, and Sean's like, you're never going to sell it. You're never going to sell it. You're never going to sell it.
Well, I didn't think you were. You said you were going to sell like 5 times.
Yeah, I was going to sell the ultra rares. I'm never selling. I can't part with them. They are in a safe place now, away from my tempting thumbs.
That's smart. I'd hold on to those for a long time.
I looked at them too many times, and I was like, do I need that many? I could let one go. And then I see the price going. I'm like, no, just take it away from me. It's like put me at the dessert table or at the bar, and you're telling me it's free shots. Yeah, just pull Mike away from the bar. Don't let him be there anymore. It's gonna go from fun to ugly real quick.
Those have potentials of like being the price of a car.
Yeah. I see that now. So I was like, you know what? Let me lock the ultra rares away. I only own one secret rare comic. I'm not that cool. But I think one strategy, and I would share this with anybody who's going to watch this that's new coming into it, and this is a good question for everybody here too. What strategy do you go in with at this point? And should you have one? I think the first thing someone should really determine when you're getting into this space, whether it's VV, Recur, or any of the other NFT markets, is your goal to be a collector? Is your goal to be an investor? And I think once you pick a strategy, you're stuck with it.
I think there's a third one too, which is the flipper.
Yeah,
which kind of goes with investors.
I think investors. I think it's a subset of investing. I think you have long term and short term, and I think a lot of us do both. But I think with the money that it requires to get in versus when we did now, I think going in with a strategy to start with and sticking to it is your best point. And let me ask you guys questions as your illustrious guest. Now I get to ask you questions. Nothmar, what? Assuming someone who's never done this before, start with you.
Yeah.
How would you tell them to approach this now?
Yeah, no, definitely. I would hold buying anything. Look at the market first, because you have to check if the market was coming from all-time highs or did it drop down. So you gotta don't buy, give it like even a few days and check where the market is. Like the prices will fluctuate, and you'll get an idea, where it is. Because if you bought something 2 weeks ago, you would have bought it all-time highs, and it would drop half, right? So you would have been. A lot of people like are posting in the bigger groups and saying they screwed or lost a lot of money. I would always say, look at the ceiling, look at the floors, get an idea about like how prices change, after drops, before drops. We're noticing that now, like people sell some of their their collections before a drop, so you might see some good deals. Do not buy anything right after a drop, because I think it skyrockets. So I personally am trying my best not to buy anything at least 3 days unless I see a good deal, right? If somebody posts something cheap that I really like, sure, I'll jump into it, but I will not buy anything at least probably the first 3 days after a drop, because I feel like if you're just buying on the hype, and then you can probably buy on a high and it'll drop like whatever 30-40% in 5 days. So those are some strategies I would tell people who are just joining in. Just review the market, get to understand uh, the price points and the lows and the highs, and then have fun, right? Have a strategy, like Mike is saying too. Are you an investor or are you collecting? If you're collecting, okay, maybe you might just get one. If you're investing, you definitely want to look at something that you think can grow, I don't know, 50%, 100%, 10 times, etc. So definitely have a strategy going in.
All right. Ray, how about you, man?
Yeah, it's like I come from somewhat into comics. Y'all are way much more knowledgeable on comics than I am, but like let the hobby fund itself is kind of my thing with comics. I can hardly justify, again, even $15 comics on the app is a lot, but then even like the $4 cover price on pool week, I mean, I've had to significantly trim that back. But if you want to come in and collect, it's great, but I'm not huge on picking up the PC stuff until I can sell some of my investment pieces to cover the PC piece while still allowing me to keep some for investment, right? That's just kind of how I play it. And then if you want to come in and collect, great, pick it up, throw it in the vault, have fun with it, right? But I think that if I were coming in and trying to build up, I don't know if I'd be purchasing PC pieces right away. And Flipper is one that kind of, I consider it a subset of investment, but I think it's kind of a different mindset, right? Because you got to be very firm with your price targets, and I think that's not where you hit it, right? Like, be very, very sure of where you want to come in and where you want to exit on a piece that you buy. So for me, when I bought a Marvel Comic 1 before the pump, and I was like, if this thing doubles, I sell. And I sold it when it doubled, and then it kept going, and it sucked, right? But now I could buy it back and still have like 100 left over, right? So like, I think it is important to have a price target and try not to be emotional, because especially with this app, it's all FOMO based. I feel like I just want the cool shit, right? That's what everyone says, and so I think you have to be very, very disciplined in not FOMOing in and have 900 for Batcroc or Nothmar saying 500 is my you may be waiting a while, but if 500 is that's your entry, then that's your entry, and don't say, well, it's at 700, do I pay the extra 200? I don't know, right? So just all I can say is don't be emotional and have price targets and stick to it. Sometimes it won't work out, sometimes it will. That's what I got.
Good stuff.
Carmen, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think knowing what, having a plan, that's vague, but that's what I want to say, right? Like, and I guess just knowing the type of person you are from the beginning, and understanding the app. I think a lot of people don't understand a lot of the ins and outs of this yet. They're kind of just in and they buy an NFT. Doing some research, getting an understanding, like Nathmar said, getting an understanding of the highs and lows, and then knowing the commission rips on each one of these sales, man, because you're not buying and selling something with 2.5% is much different than buying and selling something with 8.5%. And if you aren't aware of that, you can take a bath pretty easily on something if you're not paying attention, because these floors, most people are buying off of floor. So, if you buy a book at 200 and then the book goes up to 215 and something else comes out that you want, people, I think, pull the trigger thinking that they won, and then they realize, like, oh, wait a minute, like I didn't consider this commission rip, and now I'm out. I didn't make the money that I thought I was going to make. So just paying attention to those things. I tried the flipper thing. I still try every once in a while. I don't have the constitution for it, man. Like I flipped a couple things. I flipped Slimer a couple times. I flipped Buttercup Powder Puff Girl a couple times. I flipped Harley Quinn a couple times. I flipped Joe Bats a couple times. Every single time I did it, I was it ruined my whole day. Like I was just consumed with like what was going on. Like I couldn't be around people. It was horrible, right? So the problem is that they, buying and selling crypto is a little bit different because you always have a buyer. Like, you can, even if you're like, I'm going to sell this at floor, someone still has to buy it at floor. And then if someone puts and this speaks to Sean's low mint stuff, if someone puts a collectible up that is 100 mint less than your collectible, you're waiting potentially another day because now theirs has to sell first, unless someone is just in love with the mint that you've posted. So knowing the mint game is important, and just understanding that at the end of the day, get a lower mint, not because I think that a lower mint is going to get you more money, because I've fallen into that trap too, where I've overpaid, I think, on lower mint stuff, thinking it's worth more, and it's just not. It just sits low. It just sits longer. But if you can get a lower mint, buy a lower mint, just knowing that if you want to get out of it, you can get out of it at floor pretty quickly compared to, whatever. If I've got a 2K mint and you've got a 7K mint and there's only 8K mints available, I'm selling mine before. I'll just match your floor every single time until mine sells, right? So just knowing and understanding that, and then just do your research, man. I think so many people don't do their research on anything on this app, and they're treating it like crypto, I think, where they're like, oh, I think this is hot, or oh yeah, and learning that the flaws of the app, like sometimes things don't get posted. You can't post things, you can't list things, and just kind of like you said it before, paying attention to the MCU, trying to read the tea leaves a little bit, because it's not hard work. Like, if you're a fan, it shouldn't be hard work. And I think sometimes people enter this poo-pooing it a little bit as it being this cute little whatever. I mean, we see it in the comic book industry all the time, right? Guys are like, yo, what book can I buy that's going to be worth 10x in 5 years so I can put my kid through college? And you're like, no, man. No.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck, right? And then they're like, well, can I just sell it on eBay? And then you're like, well, if you're going to pay, you're going to get killed 15% on eBay, and you got to handle shipping, and it's got to sell. And then if someone buys your book and then they don't pay you, you got to deal with all that. And there's all those things. So I think being a student more, even with this app, is like paramount. And then my last thing, after you do all those things and you understand that, buy what you like. Like, buy something that if it doesn't sell, you're not going to be heartbroken because it does look cool. Like the battle statue is, I think, a perfect example of like, it's so cool. I don't have one. I want one. It's so cool. And if I miss on it, whatever. I got this really cool battle statue. I'm the same way with I think any of these new drops from DC. Like I think who cares if the Supergirl statue doesn't go to a K? It looks awesome, and you just sometimes want stuff that looks cool. And if you like Frank Cho, great. If you don't know who Frank Cho is, you got to do your homework. It's a perfect example of like knowing what's what. What about you? What do you got? What's your advice?
Me?
Yeah. What do you?
Me personally, my advice to going into this new is don't start the hopium right away. You're not going to get rich overnight. You missed the boat on the $7 comics. It's never going to happen again. Don't believe your friends when they're, the biggest thing is half of the people that are the biggest showboats, especially in certain groups that I won't mention, you don't know how they got what they got. You don't know what they spent to get there. They're fronting like they all got Maseratis and yachts. Meanwhile, if you see some pictures of their backgrounds, you're like, man, is that a roach on the wall next to your $37,000 partner statue? It's like, you got to be careful that you're not buying into the hype. I see things like, and I don't know if people are joking, and honestly, it frightens me. I dumped my life savings into this. And I'll see it on a Twitter post, and the person doesn't look like they're joking because, they're hammering away. I took money out of my kid's college fund for this. And I'm sitting there like,
crazy.
Whoa, hold on, bro.
This is as risky as it gets.
That's too much.
And I think that's why we see such a cry out for cash out, MTL, whatever, because people put in a lot more than they thought they were going to. And this thing got a lot more expensive. And I think this is a great segue into, and I'm going to really push this video so that people watch this on the rewind. So I want to just get some basics down, especially for the people who follow me on IG, because it's mostly going to be a comic book group and pop culture. And a lot of them are very confused about the NFTs, yet they're interested. And I'm just trying to find a way to give them a realistic, segue into it. So one of the things we hear from the AMA and that, the sycophants are running around toting, and just give me a quick 5-second summation of your opinion on this. And we'll go back the other way. So that way, Carmen, is it a collectibles app or an investment app?
Oh God. Oh man, we don't have enough time for this.
Just give me your answer and just one solid point why.
It's an investment app. Because everything is an investment of anything. Anytime someone uses their dollar to vote, it's an investment of some kind. Whether you're buying time or you're buying a product, whatever, it's an investment app.
All right, Ray.
Investment. I would beg to see 1% of the people walk around who say, I'm just here to show off these statues in my room. I just don't think there's any way. Investment app, 100%.
Nah.
Investment app too, but I do feel like there may be some collectors only who just buy a few just to enjoy. If they really like comics, they want to do this, it's possible. But like 99% of the time, dude, it's an investment, right? So I think we can make a lot of money off of it. We can buy and trade and take profits, and we track portfolio values, that sounds like how I track my stocks, right? It's kind of similar. So
sweet.
Nice.
All right. What else you guys got?
Well, listen, we are over by 3 minutes. It's only an hour show. That went by much more quickly than I feel like it normally does most weeks. Mike, it's you. You got the magic, bro.
No. We don't say magic, Mike, because then people expect a different type of show.
No, it's a different show. But
what I would like to
Saturday
do,
nights.
what I would like to do is invite you guys over to my IG station, and I'm going to talk to a couple friends of mine on YouTube as well. I might want to get a roundtable going on one of the comic shows, and let's really try to get a different audience. I would love to get you guys, because you're much smarter than me, and it's this guy's fault that I'm doing this to begin with. So, I would really love to get you guys to do a really basic analysis. I want to get some honest questions from the comic community and from the collectibles community as a whole. And I think you guys were my guides in this. And I think hearing from you is better than reading, internet biased opinions or just hearing shit from cheerleaders or footers, if you will. So I definitely would love to get you guys all on a call or on a channel on my IG, and we'll do a nice Q&A session for the rest of the world. What do you think?
Easy peasy.
Beautiful.
good.
Sounds good.
Let's do it. This is the
Awesome.
way.
All right, guys.
Love
Well,
it.
Another Sunday night in the books. Everyone at home, thank you so much for hanging out and chatting. That is all from me, Carmen, Ray, Nathmar, and Mike. Sean sort of cut out in the last little bit, but thank you so much. Have a good one, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Later.